Woodworking joining is always a very important topic. How do we join two workpieces together? What is the best technique? Well, there is no general answer to this question. Over the century, mankind invented so many techniques, so the answer can only be given from situation to situation. But I can tell you what kind of joining techniques I use and why. In this video, I will show you my two favorite joining techniques, which are dowel joints and plate or biscuit joints. Both are invisible after completion, really easy to use and do not require a lot of tools. So, if you are interested, keep on watching. But before jumping right into the two previously mentioned joining techniques, you will probably want to know what is common and often used. So therefore I will try to give an overview, being aware that I only can strive some of them. The most important techniques using metal joiners are nailing and screwing. There's no secret behind it, and you probably did it 1,000 times, as being extremely easy to apply and cheap. But both leave behind a visible head, and the connection is inhomogeneous and not really strong. Nothing for a hardcore woodworker. The second big field are wood-wood connections, with two major subcategories: either shaping the joint into the two workpieces or applying additional wooden joiners. Please follow me enjoying some of them. Shaping the connection into the two workpieces is probably as old as mankind, and therefore hundreds of different joining techniques exist. Amazing creative techniques which are developed over ages. The most important and commonly used joining technique is the dovetail joint, which is taught in any woodworking apprenticeship. The most common joining techniques using wooden joiners are the dowel joints or the plate or biscuit joints. Something in between are the dominoes, which is a brand name from Festo. We know that this brief overview cannot be complete, but we hope to have at least caught the most important joining techniques. So let's proceed with my mainly applied joining techniques, which are plate or biscuit joints and dowel joints. Why? There are three good reasons. First, for some of my modern style furniture that I'm building, I do not want to have the joint to be visible. It would be a kind of adding an additional element to the design, which does not go together with my understanding of clear lines. That does not apply for all kind of modern style furniture, but for many of my ideas it does. Secondly, these joints are really easy to apply, needing only a little bit of training and minor expertise. Third, the gear to use is absolutely low-tech. No huge investment need to be made. So let's start with the dowel joint, which I at least strived in some of my previous videos. What tools do we need for the joint? That is simple. A hand drill and a dowel set. The dowel set consists of a drill bit with an adjustable depth stop, some dowel pins, and in many cases some dowels. It is available in many good woodworking shops, and the drill is basic equipment anyway. So how do we use the tools? Step 1. Drill all dowel holes in the first workpiece. Care about the depth of the holes by properly adjusting the depth stop. You want to drill pocket holes, so not all the way through the first workpiece. some millimeters or 1/8 of an inch of wood should be left on the other side. Step 2 is copying the dowel holes from workpiece 1 into the appropriate location of workpiece 2. That is where you use the dowel pins for. Watching is better than many words. Step 3. Drill the dowel holes in workpiece 2 right on the pin marks. The tip of the wood drill centers exactly into the pin mark. A metal or universal drill is not okay for the job. Again, the holes are pocket holes with a minimum of some millimeters or 1/8 of an inch of wood left on the other side. Step 4. Reduce the dowel to the appropriate length, meaning some millimeters shorter than the overall depth of the two dowel holes. Important. Before applying the glue, make a dry fit. You do want to avoid the time pressure making corrective actions when the glue is applied and it is about to dry out. Step 5. Apply glue to both workpieces, all dowel holes and one side of each dowel, and put all needed dowel into the first workpiece with the wet side first, all the way into the dowel hole. You can do all steps in a pretty calm manner, but once the glue is applied, you need to be really fast. Why? The glue is containing water, making the wooden dowel expand, at least a little bit. The glue on the second side of the dowel would start with expansion, making it harder or even impossible to clamp the two joining partners together. The expansion is actually something desirable, making sure that the two partners cure with preload on it. If you work in a warm environment, the glue will start with the curing pretty fast. So, two good reasons to apply the glue only on one side of the dowel and the other one in the hole, at least if the connection is complicated and needs to have some time for preparation. That is also the reason why I don't use fast curing glue. So once the glue is applied, you need to be fast, at least if the joint is more complicated than this one. So prepare and pre-position some clamps and also the support for the workpiece ahead of time. Also prepare some wipes in reach, in case you need to wipe off some glue where it does not belong to, including your own hands. If you're doing the dowel connection for the first time, I would recommend doing some trials ahead with some leftover wood to get some feeling for the joint. Next, you will see all steps together, slightly accelerated. Let's move over to plate or biscuit joint. Why do we need to have a second joint at all? In woodworking, we often deal with thinner panels. Imagine the thickness of the panel is small and the big dowel hole would be too close to the surface, weakening the panel exactly where we need the panel to be strong to withstand the loads of the joint. What would we do? Squeeze the dowel until it's flat. The dowel would convert into a plate or biscuit. Result, the drill hole would be a no match to the flat biscuit. So let's route the slot into the workpiece instead of the drill hole. And that's exactly how the biscuit joint works. It's basically a thin panel dowel version. So let us unpack and have a closer look at the joiner. Yes, it's brand new, just purchased for my next project that I'm planning at the moment. But that is something for my next video. The joiner is something in between of a router and a circular saw. The blade is rotating at a speed of 12,000 rounds per minute, so watch your hands. It is routing a standardized slot of 4 mm into the workpiece. The biscuits are a little smaller in diameter and thickness. Their diameter size is standardized to 100 mm. But there are 3 commonly used sizes of biscuits: number 0, 10 and 20. So for a smaller workpiece, use the smaller biscuit and adjust the joiner on this lever, which results in a reduced intrusion depth of the blade into the workpiece. How do we use this tool best? There are several different techniques. So I will show you the 2 most common ones with the best and most accurate results. How do I know when this tool is just out of the box? Well, this tool is not my first one. I used the cord version for several years in my other workshop. By the way, this video is not sponsored. All tools are regularly bought and I only use tools where I'm at least convinced that it makes sense to use them. So let's go ahead with a biscuit joint. Let's assume this board needs to be attached vertically on this spot between these 2 lines. So step 1, position the board exactly on one of the 2 joint lines, so that the second line is still visible. Clamp the 2 workpieces tightly together. If the workpieces are not clamped tightly, you risk having a gap which will result in plates not being in line and the connection not being accurately. Step 2, mark the middle line of the joints on the boards with an accuracy of 1 or 2 mm. A little play is allowed. For long boards, the 2 corner plates can be positioned by aligning the corner flush to the edge. Step 3. Check the routing depth and route the slots with the bases of the tool flat on the 2 connection surfaces. Make sure the surface is clear of chips and sawdust to avoid having the slots too high in the workpieces. Step 4 and 5 is dry fit with glue and biscuits in place, similar to the dowel connection, so I won't repeat that in this place. I just explained how to use the joiner with this basis surface as a reference for the joint. Another very good alternative is using this surface as a reference. This bracket provides additional possibilities for reference surfaces, but I personally try to avoid it as they're coming with additional tolerances. Finally, I will show you the second alignment method for the tool using this flippable fence, also highly accurate. I will expedite in slide time lapse. So here you see the result of the 2 joints. The dowel connection used for spot connection or for larger overlap areas using multiple dowels like here. and the biscuit joint, often used for panels to join together, so thinner and longer connection areas. Try it yourself. Both joints are pretty easy to learn and not much gear is needed either. I hope you enjoyed this video and found some tips and tricks that you did not know so far. And if you liked it, please give me a thumb up and maybe you consider subscribing too.